Hi, that's me. My name is Kortney and I'm a Master's of Planning candidate at Dow. I'm also a moviegoer, coffee lover, ocean explorer, Aries, the list goes on. But for the purpose of this video, I guess I'm a film photographer, because that's the medium I chose to tell this story. So, today I want to ask you, how do we stay connected in the face of COVID-19? To our friends and to our city. But let's back it up for a second. Almost 2 years ago, I decided to uproot my entire life and come to the School of Planning. Part of my reason for coming to Dow specifically was because I could see myself living in Halifax for the long term. The arts and culture, the proximity to the outdoors, and the laid-back lifestyle. At the time, it only made sense for me to study planning of cities in a city that I wanted to live in. Fast forward to March 2020, when we were transitioned to online learning, and I was also informed my co-op work term would be delivered through remote working. This means for almost an entire year, I've been working from home for up to 8 to 10 hours a day. Add in eating, sleeping, and generally relaxing, and it's possible I spend 20 hours a day in my apartment. Over an entire year, that is roughly 7,300 hours. Please, someone get me out of here. Understandably, governments were forced to implement drastic public health measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. This includes social distancing, requirements to stay at least 6 feet apart, wearing masks, and extremely reduced gathering limits. At the beginning, this also included the closure of non-essential services like libraries, shops, and bars, where I spent some time, as well as access to parks, trails, and beaches. I went from seeing the same 30 people roughly every day, some of whom are pictured here before things got really crazy, to seeing one, my roommate. Shout out to Francine for keeping me sane during these early months. But to that point, while these public health measures were necessary, they also inhibited our ability to spend time with friends, socialize, exercise, let go of stress and anxiety, and simply connect. Consequently, this had adverse effects on my overall mental health and well-being. I'm not too proud to admit it, it absolutely sucked. So what did I do? I started walking. Yes, walking. That seemingly simple, boring, mindless activity that we do almost as naturally as breathing or blinking. But where did I go? Good question. The remainder of this video will be a sort of photo journal of my time walking Halifax's streets over the past year, while I explore the question at hand. How do we stay connected in the face of COVID-19, to our friends, and to our city? At this point, I need to host a sidebar on a planning concept called third places. Sometime in the early 1980s, two sociologists, Raymond Oldenburg and Dennis Brissett, introduced the theoretical concept of third places. Used to describe places outside of your home, your first place, and your work, your second place. There are a very gray set of guidelines that determine what a third place is, but simply, they provide people with a sense of personal meeting, facilitate social interaction, community building, provide social support, and contribute to overall well-being. I've also interpreted this to mean the play, and everyone's favorite life slogan, live, work, play. Third places commonly fall into two main categories. One, public facilities and/or institutions like parks, libraries, and community centers. And two, privately operated organizations and/or businesses like cafes, bars, gyms, rec centers, sites of worship, and even malls. So basically, all of the places that we were not allowed to go because of COVID-19. If third places are meant to encourage community, social gathering, and relationship building, third places were definitely not encouraged due to COVID-19. COVID-19 has emphasized vulnerability and resilience of urban systems and how planning interventions can prevent and manage these pandemics. Existing research focuses on how the home has become a combination of first, second, and even third places. But I don't like that. It's suffocating. These places are important. So how can we make third places safe in COVID-19? The answer is simply take things outside. Third places can also be streets, sidewalks, boulevards, and that random patch of grass at the corner of street X and Y. And so this is where things circle back to my walks and also connect more broadly to the spirit of World Earth Day. Much of the research I found drew connections between how planning tools to address the needs related to COVID-19 could also address the present climate change pandemic, mainly shared streets and introducing more green space. Serendipitously, I recently met for coffee with the manager of regional planning at Halifax Regional Municipality. And you know what his golden piece of parting advice was? If I wanted to get to know this city, I needed to walk every street of the peninsula. Walk around with your head up, he told me. And he had a point. Walking allows you to explore your environments, built and natural, in a way that lets you observe and absorb what is going on around you. So my answer to the question of the hour, or at least these 10 minutes, how do we stay connected in the face of COVID-19 to our friends and to our city? My earth-shattering advice is, drumroll, walking. More specifically, and perhaps more complicated, it's that governments need to invest in accessible and attractive pedestrian infrastructure, including a focus on destinations like large public spaces and parks that make social distancing possible but allow for community connection. Easy, right? I also recently read Jeff Speck's 2012 novel, Walkability: How Downtown Can Save America One Step at a Time. Speck's novel presents the general theory for walkability and attempts to make an argument for why walkability should be considered by planners as the most important aspect of city planning. As both an end and a means, as well as a measure, walkability is an indicator of urban vitality, and if designed properly, can lead to benefits related to health, environmental sustainability, safety, boosting local economies, and so on. The Walkable City novel is also a prescriptive roadmap to walkability, as the latter half of the novel presents the 10 steps of walkability. Planning solutions that promote walkability include putting cars in their place, consolidating parking, incorporating mixed-use infrastructure, investing in cycling and transit, planting trees, and designing interesting and entertaining public spaces. But Speck's novel also illuminates how walking is about more than pedestrian infrastructure. It's a shift in mindset. So, why do I enjoy walking? Well, as a planner and a photographer, I enjoy observing how people interact with their environments and how we can better design spaces to suit people's needs. And right now, people need ways to get outside and stay connected. So I'd like to end this video with a call to action to friends. Call up a friend you haven't seen in a while and go for a walk. Go sit in the park and just take in what's going on around you. Try to look for some light in a grim time and recognize that we're pretty fortunate to be navigating COVID-19 in a place like Halifax. To planning professionals, pay attention to people's needs in the present, but also how they change over time. Invest in parks and pedestrian infrastructure, and design and shape public spaces, third places, in a way that makes people comfortable, encourages connections, but allows them to remain safe. The benefits of walking and walkability on health, the community, and the environment are substantiated and limitless. I recognize that walking will not solve all of the planning or public health evils, but it is doing something right, starting with getting me out of this apartment. Thank you so much for watching my submission to the School of Planning Storytelling Contest. I hope this was a convincing and inspiring narrative. All photos were taken by me on 35mm film throughout summer, fall, and winter of this year. This concludes my video, and thanks again.